step outside, you risk your life. You take a drink of water, you risk your life. And nowadays you breathe, and you risk your life.
I was with the radio. I heard a voice broadcasting coordinates, and the voice said it was a safe place to go to. And I wrote them down.
Who said that? Daniel, who was broadcasting? Was it Morgan? I didn't hear him say anything about coordinates.
No, someone else. I know that voice. I just don't know who it is. And then it cut out.
You sure you're not just confused again, old timer? You remember what happened last time we took your word?
We don't have time for this. Daniel, you sure you heard what you're telling us?
What's up, Walking Dead friends and family? I just watched Fear the Walking Dead Season 6, Episode 15, the USS Pennsylvania. Just, wow. The amazing episode. This is a big episode for Victor and Morgan. And I'm stressed. After watching that episode, I mean, this is setting up for the big moment going into the final episode. And I even watched the opening minutes for episode 16, and that did not help because those opening minutes are stressful. And go watch them. You'll understand what I'm saying. But so the USS Pennsylvania. Of course, that is giving me a lot of thoughts about Rick Grimes. Why? Because Rick, last time we saw Rick, or actually not really technically saw him, but when we got sort of that teaser trailer, and we saw the skyline, Rick was believed to be in Philadelphia. That's what that's where everyone believes he's at. This is the Pennsylvania. And it just made me think of Rick Grimes. Now, again, in this episode, we find out that Riley is the weapons officer, which I had predicted. I mean, I remember seeing the way they were holding their guns, Riley's people, and they seemed military. They just had sort of an air about them. And Riley, he just seemed like an officer, a petty officer, or something. And then we find out he's the weapons officer, which makes even more sense because there's no way Teddy, this nutcase, is going to know how to do anything on a submarine without some sort of help. So, confirmed this episode, Riley was the weapons officer, and my prediction was right. So we start the episode and we see Teddy, who's played by John Glover, and my goodness, John Glover. You could not have casted a more perfect actor for this role of Teddy. He has done a phenomenal job. I mean, this is like, when you think of a serial killer, when you think of someone who's going to fit that role, they have got to be charismatic. They got to be believable. Teddy encompasses everything that I would think is a serial killer. And John Glover has been just phenomenal at that. But at the beginning, you see John Glover and Teddy, and he's talking to Dakota, and he's kind of convincing her his way of life, and she's realizing that they're going to die, but he's basically telling her, would you rather go live and pretend basically to be someone else that you're not, or live these last few moments being who you truly are? And of course, Dakota is just a few fries short of a Happy Meal. I mean, the girl is a sociopath. Or is she? Could she be playing, so deep undercover because she wants to make up for what had happened, for what she did? Because, like I said, in my previous video, I talked about how she wanted to make up for that because, she kept asking, I need to make up for, for what happened. She feels bad. She really wants to help, and of course Morgan said no. And he kept, turning her down. So what if she's, sort of undercover, not telling anybody, which isn't really shocking because half the time she was doing her own thing, kind of playing Little Miss Detective herself when her mother or her sister was still alive. But yeah, so we see that conversation. It's really creepy. And then of course Riley comes in, and that's where he announces that he was the weapons officer, and then then you see the group. They're all coming together. You see in the distance, you see the submarine. You see the ocean to the left, or might be the Gulf of Mexico. And you just see off in the distance just kind of beautiful scenery. And I gotta give it to Fear the Walking Dead. They have been killing it all season with their cinematography, and today was no different. And so they've climbed up on the sub, and he has to kind of cut open that top, and they're looking down, and I like how that Grace brought into the radiation element of it, because if you're going to be around, nukes, that is going to be a problem. I love the fact that, she has that expertise, and just bringing, a little bit of science into this episode to make it a little bit more believable. And, they go down, and immediately as soon as he gets down, he's attacked by one of the former sailors that was, turned into a walker, and June Dory, she is the new sharpshooter, because that shot that she pulled on and shooting that walker in the head to save Morgan was an absolutely phenomenal shot. But he goes down after that, and he checks and the radiation, so everyone's coming down. And then Morgan and Grace, they're having kind of their heart to heart, and he kind of wants to get it out because he doesn't know if they're going to see each other again. And so they kind of have that talk that they probably should have had earlier, but they're having it now because Morgan has to do that, but probably not the best time for it. But I guess no time like the present. But but so they're going through the sub, and they got Grace back, and she's walking to Luciana, and I guess she has some sort of map of the sub, and she's able to kind of direct him through it back where she's at, and they're going back and forth, and they're coming into this one part where Morgan's tapping on one of the doors, and they find out there's 150 dead sailors that are in there, and Morgan's trying to be the hero, saying he needs to do this by himself, and of course Dwight and Victor and the group said, no, we are basically we're family, we are doing this together, you are not doing this by yourself, Morgan. But ultimately they go back, and it's just kind of Victor and Morgan going through this sub, and they're going back and forth, and these two have really never got along, and they're walking through, and they're taking out a few walkers here and there. They come through bunks where actually first Morgan wanted to go through the nuclear where the radiation was high, and Victor told him no, and then they went up a ladder, and they come across these bunks, and then they see his bunk, and they have a picture of him when he was younger, showing him with this girl, and you kind of see how his previous life, and because he lost somebody, and that's kind of where he was today. Maybe that's kind of what threw him through the and come to think about it now, and I'm gonna need the you guys watching, and tell me if I'm right on this, but in that picture, he's there with his girlfriend, but in that sub, there was that girl who had the radiation. She clearly was not military. She was in civilian clothes. Was that Riley's? I believe that was Riley's girlfriend. I could be wrong, but I need to go back and check out that picture. But so that they go through there, and then they come to a point in the sub where Victor cannot help himself, and he becomes Victor. And I don't know about you guys, but this put Victor in line with Dakota for me at this moment. And Victor pissed me off because he just basically kicked Morgan into these walkers. And we don't really see how it happens. But, Victor's apparently he escapes and he kills all these walkers. And he gets all their key cards, which they're going to need to get through, different levels. Or at least you need an officer's key card if you're going to get to, the more technical areas or the more high-profile areas within the sub. But if you go to comicbook.com, they seem to be alluding that perhaps Morgan was bit. And, this is kind of reminding me of when Carl Grimes was bit, because you didn't really see it. Like, Carl kind of has the walkers on him, but he ends up getting out. They kill the walkers, but later on you find out that he has that bite mark on his side there. And comicbook.com is somewhat alluding that what if Morgan got bit? And oh my God, I would hate that, because Morgan needs, and at least for me, I don't know where you guys want to see him go, but I would love to see Morgan, go with Rick and meet up with Rick, be in the movies with Rick. Though that reunion kind of has to happen. That's a must. I mean, they started together, they need to end it together. But so yeah, he comes back and after trying to think if this was before or after. No, this was actually before. I want to go back to the scene, kind of jump back to another scene, which was, to me, was probably the greatest scene, because you see they're going through this part of the sub. This is before what happened with Morgan and Victor, but everybody's there and they're on the ship's communication, and then Morgan's talking to Teddy, and then all of a sudden John Dory gets on the comm, and he starts talking to Teddy. He's like, "Do you know who this is?" And then he begins to tell him, he was the officer who basically put him away for all those years. And immediately, all I could think about was, James Doak and Dexter, "Surprise, motherfucker!" And I was just cracking up. But that was just a great scene. Keith Carradine has been phenomenal as John Dory Sr., and I hope he survives, but I just kind of have a feeling that he is going to sacrifice himself to save June Dory. I feel like the theme going into this final episode is going to be sacrifice, and who's going to sacrifice themselves to basically help someone else survive. But yeah, back to the scene where Morgan, he gets attacked by the walkers, but he gets away. And now, then you see Dakota has caught up with Victor, and she has the gun pointed at him, and I was so glad she did this, because Victor needs to be basically shown who Victor is, and how he's somewhat of a snake. And if it took Dakota to do it, then it took Dakota to do it. But she gets on the comm system, and she's telling everybody how, she did what she did to John. And of course you see Dory Sr., the look in his face, the heartbreak of what happened. But she's telling everybody basically that Victor killed Morgan, or at least that's what Dakota saw. But then in the last set, she has the gun pointed at Victor. She's getting ready to shoot him in the chest or the head. But then all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Morgan comes in, saves Victor. He still gets shot in the shoulder. But then Morgan and Victor have their kind of quick heart to heart, and he says, "We'll deal with this at another time, but for now, we got to be a team, and we got to save we kind of have to save the day. We got to get to Teddy. We got to get to Riley. We got to fix the situation. So, and the tension is so thick you can cut it with a knife. They're almost to the point you can see they're trying to get into where Teddy and Riley are with the weapons to fire off the missile, and Morgan's going through with all these cards that he got from the walkers that were tried to kill him. And he had better not be bit, because if he dies in that way, I am going to be so upset, because we cannot have a Carl Grimes 2 and lose somebody like that, especially to someone like Victor. That upsets me. But so they finally get in the last second, and they get in, but it's too late. The missile's going off, and you got Morgan comes in with his spear, right at Teddy's face. Victor's holding a gun up at Riley, and they're basically telling him, how do we stop this? How do we stop this? But it's too late. The missile's going off, and they find out that it has 10 warheads, and they don't really know where it is. They talk about Alicia, and that they're basically going to find out when this blows up. But then Morgan lets Riley and Teddy go, and lets them go. And I'm like, are you kidding me? Are you for real right now? But as I'm thinking about it, it's actually kind of smart to let them go, because they don't know where Alicia is. They don't know that she's, safe in the bunker. I mean, yeah, this lunatic is claiming that she's okay, but not really the guy that I would trust in that moment. But if it was me in that moment, they would have been dead. But that's why Morgan is probably a better leader than I would have been in that situation, because I would have killed him. But because that guy Teddy is just absolutely lunatic, and that's just a kudos to John Glover, just being able to bring that character to life. So yeah, they go, and Morgan just tells Victor to get out, just go. Victor gives him his weapon back, and that he had already broken previously when he kicked Morgan into where those walkers were. And the missile goes off, and then we see everybody looking up, and now the scene is set for next week, the final episode. And if you watch the opening minutes, you are going to be incredibly stressed out, because I don't even want to say it. Just go watch the opening minutes. You can find them on YouTube on the Walking Dead's page. But there's also another scene that you hear, and it's Daniel Salazar, and he's at this truck, and he hears this voice in the radio, and I guess it's giving him coordinates, and he's writing them down on the map, and then all of a sudden you see Raleigh come in, and we find out that he must have roughed up Riley, and he found out Alicia's coordinates, but he tells them, well, no, this is someone that I recognize the voice, but I just can't pinpoint it. And of course, going back to that episode where Daniel Salazar was, kind of crazy, no one believes him, but Luciana, she kind of wants to give him the benefit of the doubt. She's like, are you sure that you heard these? And now, of course, everybody, myself included, the first thing I'm thinking about is Madison Clark. Is this Madison giving them coordinates to where, she has a safe zone and everything? But the more I think about it, that can't be Madison. Now, again, I am in the group, the belief that Madison is coming back. Madison lives. She will come back, but it's not in this way. Because I don't believe that Madison would have known all this stuff going on, and then she somehow had this bunker or somewhere, and she just knew all this stuff all along. I think that would have been lazy writing. I don't think that is what we're going to see here, but and I do have to say this, as much as I want Madison back, and I do believe she's coming back, whoever is writing that episode, when and if she comes back, that person had better be on their A game, because the writing in that episode is going to matter. But who am I to judge? Because season 6 has been phenomenal. We lost some great people like, John Dory, but man, the writing's been so good. But yeah, so we find out that Daniel has these, these coordinates, but who could they be if it's not Madison? I mean, I'm gonna tell you who it is. I believe it's Althea. Althea, as we know, was not in this episode, but she had left and she said she was going to look for Beer Lady, Isabel. And I think she probably found Isabel, and she told them, what's going on, and she now has coordinates for them to get to safety if they can, if they can get there, and that's who I think it is. How is Madison going to come back? In my opinion, and I've said this from the get-go, this is going to be either the final season, not the final season, but the season finale, or the season premiere. Those are the two most opportune times. If you're going to bring back a character like Madison, you're not going to bring her in the middle, sometime in the middle of the second half or in the middle of the first half. She deserves a huge entrance. This isn't Cole we're talking about. Cole is just some random nobody character. I mean, he had a kind of a big scene with Victor, with the whole food thing, but overall, Madison is not Cole, and she deserves bigger. And we're gonna see her, and of course, I just keep thinking of this song now. They see me rolling, they hating, but if you're on Twitter, you know what that means. But in my opinion, we are going to see her in the final minutes of this. Or if I was AMC, I would actually have her season 7, episode 1. And maybe she comes, somehow she's wherever she was and she's in the rubble and she finds out about this. Maybe she was with the CRM. Maybe they saved her or something. But she comes and opens the door. Alicia comes out and she sees her mother. That moment, it's got to be Alicia that finds her. But yeah, the scene is set. This is going to be a big episode. This is going to be a crazy episode. We're going to lose some people. Dwight and Sherry look like, at least from what I've seen a little bit, like, cause some of the sneak peeks or whatever, they look like they're not in a good situation. I don't know, but keep in mind that crying tear theory. Sherry, of course, had the tear. Does that mean we're going to lose Dwight if we're going by, what has happened with the other tier characters? But I'm kind of going the opposite. I believe Dwight is going to survive. I think Sherry might be the one to die, as she does something to protect Dwight, and she's crying because they'll never be able to, get their new start or whatever. But yeah, this next episode is going to go with a bang, both figuratively and literally. This is going to be a big episode. We're going to lose some people. I'm already stressed out. If you watch this opening minutes, you'll understand why, because that is a stressful way to start out a already stressful situation. And if you watch those opening minutes, you're going to be like, oh, you'll know when it happens. But yeah. So like with all my reviews, I like to give a shout out to one of my friends or someone that I know, kind of help them out with their, if I can, with their their links, their whatever. But my buddy Jimmy Harrison, he is he's creating his own movie. He's small time. He's not a big movie theater movie production type thing. He's just creating his own movie, and he's creating his own zombie story. In fact, it's called A Zombie Story. It's coming out soon. I am going to, in the link, put his YouTube in there. He has not released a date yet, but I'll have his information in of course, the description, as always. check me out on Twitter, check me out on Instagram, check me out on Facebook. And I'm going to have kind of his movie posters there as well. And I'll put those in there as well, but I'll have his YouTube first, followed by my Twitter and my Instagram and my Facebook group, The Walking Dead Stuff and Things, and you can see his movie posters, which are really cool. I'm kind of looking forward out to seeing how Jimmy does this. Check out his YouTube, see what he's doing, find out when this movie's coming out. It's kind of excited for him. I hope this does well for him. It's his project, and as always, I love you guys. Get ready for this final episode. I'm excited. And just one other thing, I'm gonna probably start rewatching The Walking Dead World Beyond. I'm gonna rewatch that first season. I'm gonna kind of do a review, not every episode, but the season as a whole. And I should be able to get through that fairly quickly because World Beyond is somewhat of a short season. And then I'm going to attempt to do the entire Walking Dead. And I usually do this every year anyways. I go through and watch them again. But I'm going to try and do sort of my official review and go back after watching these older seasons and just kind of give my review on each season and how they did it and just kind of give my thoughts at the end of, as you know, when I finish each season. But again, love you guys, and I'll see you next time. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button. I'd love to have you subscribe, and let me know in the comments what you think. Who do you think we're going to lose? What's going to happen with who is that on the radio? Is that Althea? Are they going to take Morgan to the CRM? Do you think that maybe Isabel is going to sacrifice herself to save Althea? Althea maybe takes Morgan to the CRM. Who are we going to lose? Do you believe Madison's coming back? Just let me know in the comments what you think's going to happen, what you hope happens, and I'll see you next time.